John-Jules is the active when defending.
I think it's like
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
Like Ian Wright said, people deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning back in as you normally do. Slap the like button, make sure you're subscribed if you haven't, and turn on the notifications. Now, you know, the journey to being a footballer, much less at a top 6 club and a top club like Arsenal, is very difficult. You know, a journey is never lateral. Even someone like Bukayo Saka, you know, obviously he's a terrific talent. He's just gone up every level, but he's been met with adversity. You know, that's an exception rather than the rule. As usual, you know, I like to see the development of our young players, whether they make it here or elsewhere, because there's going to be many twists and turns, bumps and bruises. I know Saliba didn't come through Haaland, but it wasn't even smooth sailing for him to be in Arsenal's first team and things like that. So, yeah, man, I just like to track our young players. I'm no expert, can't follow every moment, but yeah. Without wasting any time, let me share my screen. As some of you who view this level of content from me on a regular basis, let's get into it. So now let's start with, again, I can't exactly see. So one sec, I've got to zoom in a bit. Obviously, Maitland-Niles, you know, Hasenhuttl could actually be sacked. So he might, like Brooke Norton-Cuffy, he might have to deal with a new manager soon. But I think Ralph Hasenhuttl was very critical on him, and he basically said what he does off the ball is the problem, not necessarily on it, which is true if you want to play in the middle of the park. He played 60. He wasn't even in the matchday squad in the last Prem game. In their latest game against Everton, where they dropped a goal, they failed to hold on to a lead and drop points as Everton won 2-1. It's nice to see him in the matchday squad. So clearly, somewhat, you're showing the gaffer Ralph Hasenhuttl what he hasn't seen before to play you, or whatever reason he's played you. He got 67 minutes. You know, as the case I've seen with Ainsley for Arsenal, for Roma in the little minutes, and West Brom, you can't force it. He fits in, but he don't necessarily stand out. And I think every Southampton midfielder was kind of overrun, but he made his full debut. He got an hour. Hopefully he's able to play this week or whenever they're next in action. The latest comments I see from the gaffer, sometimes you're a bit more ball-orientated defending, not following the striker's run, because we know the back four are covering. This is new for players coming in and takes time. We've had time to work. So if Ainsley wants to play midfield or right back, awareness of the ball for all these young players, but specific to Ainsley, who's not really young, but young, pattern up. But nice to see him get 67 minutes, people. Akinola obviously was on the bench in the last game, but he's featured in the 2-1 defeat against Chesterfield. He came off the bench with half an hour left, people. Well, that's not meant to say half an hour. That's my old notes. He actually played 18 minutes and they got their first L of the season. I don't know what's going on with Nicholas Muller, but he can't buy a game. I know he's had injuries, but he can't buy a game over there on loan currently. Mika Beref, you know, I don't really know what's happening there, but he got 12 minutes off the bench. You know, this was a previous notes. He did score in a friendly and got in the 37 minutes, but he played against Sparta, which Omar Rekic, you can't buy any minutes, also played and came off the bench, but he played 12 minutes in the Eredivisie off the bench. So hopefully him and the players that are going for adversity are able, pardon me, to get in the starting lineup, people. If not before too long. I'm pretty sure this is Brooke Norton-Cuffy doing quite well, people. You know, he did quite well in the 2-0 defeat to Wigan. I think he got forward well. I think he gave as good as he got defensively. The whole team let themselves down for the goals they conceded and the defensive actions. You know, it was so defensively, but going forward, he got well. I think that's a massive area for him to improve his crossing, his technical level. That's probably the only things that are going to go against him making it Arsenal, because I think he's got the mentality, he's got the athleticism, and I think he will. And I think he's very coachable, you know, and I do like the way how he doesn't run from pressure. He puts pressure on himself, really, and you need that sort of mentality, especially away from home. Brooke Norton-Cuffy looks like a veteran there, if I'm honest with you. He got man of the match in the draw against Millwall. His crossing was good, which, as I said, is a weakness in his game, in my opinion. He got up and down the flanks, as you'd expect a fullback, and he battled well. And as you can see in brackets there, he's got a new manager. These are things that players have to deal with, really, because you start all over again. You know, you have to prove to their gaffer. He actually had a couple pot shots at goal too. You know, obviously he's a fullback. We're all fullbacks, and that's probably why we're fullbacks. But yeah, man of the match in the draw against Millwall. Every minutes are currency, and he's building on the experience at Lincoln, doing quite well in the Championship, and we'll see what the next steps are for the young fullback next year. But yeah, man, top individual. Miguel Aziz, you know, still waiting for standout performance. He played in the 3-2 victory against Lugo. He got 32 minutes off the bench. You know, neat. That's meant to say neat. As you can see, these are rush notes. Whatever. as and when I have opinions. Neat passes, but nothing really stand out. He got 87 minutes in the 2-1 defeat against Sporting Heon. I think he lost the ball a bit too much for me. I think he needs to get more urgency in his game. But when it was on, there was tidy passes as usual, people. Obviously, Marcelo Flores is still searching to play 90 minutes. He did get 45 against, I can't even say that, but Cotalagina. They lost 3-1. I think he struggled and he got hooked. So, this is the challenge. It doesn't matter how good you are technically. You have to prove yourself. You have to have applications. And this is the real world of football. If these lot have good games or bad games at 23s, 21s level, reserve level, you may not necessarily be dropped or hooked. This is the reality. I'm not saying Marcelo thinks he's special, but the world don't care that you're Marcelo Flores, Mexico cap, Arsenal player. You need to show that what you can do. And it's a testing period, man. It's been a bit of a mixed experience for some of the young players. Ryan Edeboso obviously hasn't been involved in the last 2 match days, to my knowledge, against Aberdeen and St Johnstone. So there's nothing to talk about there. Maziz obviously got sent off. And Slashy was on the bench versus Crew, but he weren't in the team for Doncaster or was supposed to say Stevenage. Arthur Okonkwo, obviously, this is notes from the last one. I should really delete these things before we carry on, but he got a clean sheet. Clean sheets to keepers or what strikers are, goals are to strikers. He played 90, got a clean sheet against Carlisle. We keep it moving, really. Tyrese John-Jules, he did win goal of the month for his goal against Shrewsbury Town. Still, sir, he's got 12 appearances, I believe, in the championship, and he's got 2 goals or something. I want to see him score more. I think he has the capacity. He did bag off the bench against Cambridge, and I did like, it's not a glamorous goal, but that's what you got to do. You got to think he's, the run off the ball is very good. He's gambled. The cross is coming from the right-hand side. To be honest, I don't know what the Cambridge defender was doing. Sunday League, yes, he swiped at the ball and it's trickled through to John-Jules, who smashed it with his left peg. That man can score goals. What you hope is that obviously he can score more goals, get more confidence, play 90 minutes, and just show the quality that he has, because whether he makes it here or not, it's still Tyrese John-Jules FC, and I think he'll have a great future. But yeah, scored in the 3-0 victory against Cambridge. Fick got 73 minutes against Portsmouth. He did work hard. He didn't have too many chances for me with the service, but he had a good game, and he played a slightly different role in the game against Plymouth. But yeah, he did what he needed to do. Minutes are currency. The more minutes these young players get, the better. Omar Rekic, if things don't change, Arsenal probably got to look to, in my opinion, recall him and send him out elsewhere. Because forgive me if I'm wrong, or Tunisia not in the World Cup, maybe won't get called up, or if you do get called up, won't be in the best of form. Like in the game against Mika Beres Club, he got a couple of minutes in the 2-2 draw as well, nothing of note. And yeah, man, he might as well get recalled, really. Alex Kirk, who's over there at Al United, he's on the bench against Inverness, and I don't know why it says Brothers. It's meant to say Rovers. I don't know what happened there, really, but yeah, it's meant to say Rovers. So yeah, nothing of note here. Obviously, Harry Clark, he's been good for a number of years on loan. Unfortunately, he's been nursing an injury. He scored against Burnley in the 1-1 draw, came off the bench, and them things there, really. He then, and before that, he played in the 4-0 defeat to Watford. He came off the bench at 2-0 down. It was a terrible day for Stoke, and he got 13 minutes. So you want to see him get minutes, get more confidence, start over again. And, he can play right back as well as centre half. If Stoke don't sign him permanently, put yourself in the shop window, because it's probably unlikely he's going to make the grade at Arsenal. You can never rule out anyone. Austin Tusty's been one of our low knees of the season so far, in my opinion. He was confident passing. He had confident passing against Middlesbrough. He won his tackles, but it was a quiet game. Against Sheffield in the draw, again, he got 90. I think he lost the ball more so than I've seen him become accustomed to. And he's someone that I don't think will make it Arsenal. I don't rule out anything, but someone that can make profit. He's really taken to life in England really well, and Birmingham probably want to keep him permanently. Charlie Patino, doing his thing, earning rave reviews from their gaffer. Did quite well in the draw against Sunderland, if I'm honest with you. He bossed it. Lovely passing, controlled the tempo of the game at times, sped it up and slowed it down as he saw fit. He might not be the most physical, and he's trying. Obviously, he's still a young man. He's still growing in that regards. Doesn't shy away from that, really. Typical Arsenal player on display, such a cultured footballer, really. And his gaffer said 18 years, he still is. He can deal with the ball in any area of the pitch, go past people left, right. I said when he came to the club, he's as good as anything I've been dealing with. He said he's as good as anything I've seen dealing with the ball and with good movement of the ball. As you've seen tonight, he can play as a 6, play as a 10, play as an 8. He's got a really, really good future ahead of him, people. And he went on to say, it's important that we've got certain players in the team that can do that and deal with the ball. Charlie's always been mentioned, but I thought he was outstanding tonight, especially in the second half. He controlled the game. It was his game. He played at his tempo. When he wanted to speed it up, he sped it up. And when he wanted to slow it down, he slowed it down. When he wanted to switch the play, he did. It was a very mature performance from a very young lad. So lovely that he's taken to life for Blackpool in the Championship and gaining some consistency in his game, because there's no point being the best player on the pitch against Sunderland if in the next week you're not. We got to slow cook him, let him develop, just like with Brook and the rest of them. Hopefully everything falls into place and they get their opportunities like Smith Rowe, Saka, Ainsley once upon a time did, Nketiah has now, and many other examples. And if we throw Saliba and Martinelli in there just as young players, you know, Martinelli started more games than he did last year, and Saliba's building on the experiences and taking the opportunities. No, you know, you can't have a one, you know, you have to have, to a degree, it has to be a one style approach to these young players, but then you have to not do that. You know, some players will be better in other leagues, at other teams and other things like that. Everybody's developing and growing at different rates physically and mentally. And this is why I like people going on loan, because you've been kind of cramped into one way of Arsenal. You go elsewhere. We might play a 4-2-3-1. The gaffer at your loan club might say 4-4-2. They might play a slightly more direct style and things like that. And as I said, you immediately learn the consequences if you're not doing stuff on the pitch and what it really feels to win and lose games, which I don't feel 21's football prepares these lot for. He bossed it. You know, got 90 minutes into defeat against Norwich. Good passing. He didn't hide from the physical battle, but he did struggle at times in that regards. He's going against grown men. I think him and a number of players got overrun at times, but Charlie's doing what he needs to do in it. Balogun, all he does is score goals. He's got 6 goals for the campaign. More impressive than the goal scoring for me, I'm capping a bit, is how the general play is. A bit like Eddie. He's not just standing and waiting for things to happen. He's dropping deep. He's holding his position when he needs to. He's pulling out into the channels. He's showing consistency. I think he lost the ball a lot more than I've been accustomed to seeing him at Reims so far. But yeah, nothing really of note. Good in general. Scored his goal. Unfortunately, his team didn't win, but Balogun's doing his thing. And for all these young players, hopefully they can kick on into Arsenal's first team, or if not, have futures elsewhere and make some cash for the club. Nuno Tavares played against Sporting. Shout out to everyone who was part of the watch along. Still haven't seen a real, it's not that he's had bad performances, but I haven't really seen, I could tell you games he's done very well on the ball, as you lot that follow this sort of series from me do. But I know that's his strengths, and the manager tells you to do that, whether it's a back 4 or back 3. I need to see a good performance defensively where you've dealt with a top winger in France and things like that. He weren't bad against Sporting. I'd give it a 6-7 out of 10. Obviously, I don't know why, you know, if you watch that game, Adan was smoking something special, if I'm honest with you, because that is how you shouldn't play as a keeper, if I'm honest with you, you know. Nuno Tavares basically, well, he got himself sent off, but Nuno Tavares is racing clear on goal. He hasn't actually brought the ball under control. And if he gets there, there's a lot to do. Absolutely clattered. In fact, he took a couple of clatterings in this game, got his man sent off. He won the corner, which led to the third as well. You know, so he's basically had a hand in 2 big moments really as well. Obviously, I was watching it in real time. I felt in the 49th minute, he was caught overplaying. Sometimes just clear your lines. 71st minute, only good enough cross I saw him put into the box. And, you know, he does get forward, but you need to find a man. Really, I do think it's a bit overrated going forward from Tavares. There's no point getting into the final third if you can't find a man. Tierney and Zinchenko are finding an Arsenal man in, you know, more often permanent option. If he can come back to Arsenal, a more complete player, fair enough. You know, we're laughing because if he can marry the defensive aspects we're going forward, he could be a good player. If not, turn that 8 million into 28 or something like that, and we keep it moving. Obviously, the game was crazy. Sporting took the lead. Marseille patterned it. I think he was kind of peeing off his teammates. He was being quite wasteful, shooting where you don't need to shoot. Looked a bit too hungry to score, if I'm honest with you. 72nd minute, terrible shot with his right foot. There were better options. 79th minute, ballooned an effort into the stands, and his teammates looked visibly annoyed. He seemed too hungry to score, as I just said. 78th minute, another terrible pass in the final third. And I do think he carries the ball well, but he's not decisive enough. He loses it cheaply. Sometimes his head is down a bit too much. Body positioning when receiving could be better. Could also be better in the attacking sense off the ball. Sometimes someone's got the ball and they're right next to you. There's no point standing 5 yards from them. The goal came down his side, but it wasn't his fault. As I said, you know, defensively needs to improve, needs to keep doing, you know, he is doing well at Marseille, confident in that, keep doing that. Just overall improve, man. You know, going forward, that's a strength, but learn to pick out a man and show better quality in the final third. Also defensively, not that he was tested defensively against Sporting like that, if I'm honest with you. So yeah, I give him a 6-7 out of 10. They're just pointers, people. He did win he did win an award for Marseille as well. I think he got player of the month. So it's nice to see him playing games, getting more consistent. And if he does make mistakes, it's kind of Marseille's problem for this year. It's nothing to do with us. So yeah, all the young players are doing their thing, man. Hopefully as many of them can have futures at this club, or if not, go elsewhere and do good things. Because, you know, testament to your academy is one thing, players reaching your first team, but it's also the careers that other players have, or the level of careers other players have. Of course, not everyone came through our academy and things, but yeah, obviously, you know, I always do this this sort of content, people, as well as live streams and that. But yeah, that's all I've got to say. As I said, please let me know your opinion. Smash the like button. There are a couple of players I didn't comment on. You know, Tom Smith is out there on loan, the young keeper, just because it's impossible for me to keep track of that. And obviously, Ovia Jury as well. So there's a couple of players, but I did what I could in it, people, and I'll continue to do what I could. One love for you lot tuned in, appreciative to that. So yeah, man, you know, it's lovely to track these lots' progress, just so you can get a vague gaze as to how, if they do return to Arsenal, what level they're currently at, people. So yeah, man, that's all I've got to say. Subscribe, set your notifications, hit the like button, check out the rest of the content. Most importantly, stay blessed, stay safe, and I'll see you lot again, people. I'm out. Check out the playlist as well. Follow me on all the socials, from TikTok to Instagram to all that stuff. It's all in the descriptions. I'm out.
Always just that. Thank you very much. Defending.
I think it's like